change this reality and empower citizens of the communities being policed to hold their local forces accountable. The officer who had his foot on George Floyd's neck had 18 complaints. He should have never been on the streets. Well, the last two sentences were simple and correct. Everything else in there was misguided. Number 5. Number 5. Now, you heard the first 4 things that they, quote, demanded. Number 5. Nationwide commitment by police forces to end brutal practices, chokeholds, kneeling on neck, etc. We need to revisit the use of force practices and eliminate conduct that places suspects at extreme harm once in custody. That was number 5. Do you realize how many bullet points they went through before they actually addressed the police? Did you get that? No wonder Yahoo, Verizon, I shouldn't call them Yahoo, we should call them what they are, Verizon. No wonder Verizon, through their white supremacist website propaganda arm Yahoo, is trying to support these people and give them a bigger megaphone. The first 4 things they mentioned, you had to dig 4 points down before the word police ever came up. Do you realize how far down you had to dig? Now, why is this a problem? This is a problem because you decriminalize marijuana. Well, that's nice and everything, but most black folk don't smoke marijuana. But that came before talking about reining in the police. That came before that. That came before that. Understand that that's not a slight oversight. This is telling you that in their minds, this is the most important thing. So does that sound like that was written by black people who are targeting white supremacy? Or does this sound to you like this is some of these diversionary tactics? Well, you know, why don't we talk about legalizing marijuana? Why don't we talk about making more talent shows and more basketball courts? Why don't we see about that instead? How about that? Anything and everything except punishing white supremacists. So take a look at how far down you had to dig before the word police ever came up. You had to go down 4 points before the word police was ever even mentioned. You think that whoever wrote this wasn't deliberately trying to distract against dealing with police? Understand that. Number 6, D.C. statehood. The 700,000 Washingtonians in D.C. are the living, breathing example of taxation without representation. We have all the same obligations, but now, it says now, of the same rights. Not of the same rights. They didn't proofread this. This became clearer this week when Trump deployed military against peaceful protesters in a minority-majority black locale. That would have never been able to happen if D.C. had statehood. Number 7, defunding Metropolitan Police Department in favor of community policing practices through violence interrupters that had proven to work in D.C. The MPD receives over $500 million a year, but violence interrupters have not seen deserved funding for years. A budget is a moral document. Now, by the way, there are a lot of these puppet activists. There are a lot of these phony opposition puppet activists. They've been told to trot out this phrase. A budget is a moral document. You're going to be hearing more of that if you're paying any attention to them, which most of you won't. But you're going to be hearing more of that. That a budget is a moral document. So that tells you that with so many of these suspect puppets saying this, that this is something that was given to them by their white handlers for the purposes of diverting us off in another direction. They go on to say, a budget is a moral document. A budget outlines the priorities of a just society. It speaks to the moral fabric of the leadership of said society. We must make sure the finalized budget is a reflection of the values we hold dear as DC. Number 8, shift from punitive to rehabilitative model in prison system. That was number 8. Number 9. Now these are their words, not mine. As a matter of fact, I'll put the link in the chat room here so you all can see it. But by the way, this next point is their words, not mine. Number 9, echoing the words of Killer Mike, we demand that concerned citizens across the nation reflect that concern in spaces that will affect decision making. We encourage everybody to participate in the U.S. Census and to vote. We will be responsible for the change we want to see by holding elected officials accountable. We encourage everyday citizens to organize, blah, blah. And number 10, this is their final point. Number 10, these are their words, not mine. Number 10, see this moment for what it is and learn empathy. We are human. Our lives matter. Donald Trump, the protests across the nation, and the initial acts of brutality that inspired them are symptoms of America's most dangerous disease, racism. Up until now, racism is as American as apple pie and baseball. The ground had been stained with innocent black blood for centuries. We are fighting now for what America will be. But in order to do that, we must first be intellectually honest about what America has been and work with intention to heal the pain suffered as a result. Now, do you understand there that this is what a
It sound like their teeth.
Document sounds like?
It sounds like their teeth and all sorts of things.
It went out of its way to not say black people.
All sorts of people stuff their teeth.
It went out of its way to avoid mentioning black people. Did you all catch that? Other than mentioning that DC is a minority majority locale, you can count the number of times they said black pretty much on one hand. So that tells you right there, this document was created to divert and mislead black people. But Yahoo and Verizon went out of their way to promote and prop these individuals up specifically because that was the goal. Nothing about punishing police. These are all the same impotent, futile things we've heard before. Community review boards. Let me ask you a question. When the police smack up a white woman, does she need a community review board to get action? The Buffalo Police Department, Buffalo, New York, is one of the most racist places in this country, always has been, but just a couple of days ago, all they did was knock down an elderly white man, and it was a vicious video. There was blood literally pouring out of the back of his head when he hit the ground, and you know how it is with older people. When you knocked him down, he was 75 years old. He was in the hospital. They got the police officers charged now, as I understand it. Didn't require a citizens review board, didn't require community meetings, didn't require any of this crap you see on your screen. We went straight to, wait a minute, we've already got the laws on the books. We've already got the laws that punish these people. What's happening right now is you have white supremacists in office as politicians and as DAs and prosecuting attorneys who are refusing to enforce the law because many of them are white supremacists themselves. And a simple investigation would cover all of this. Everywhere you look now, when you scratch right below the surface, you find a white supremacist. So no, we don't need citizens review boards. We need enforcement of the laws that already exist. Our problem is the laws are not being enforced. You're targeting black people, but you're allowing white supremacists to run wild. That's the problem. If you think it stops there, you're dead wrong. But understand the white media is hard at work. One of the things that they were very hard at work about was on NBC. NBC has gone out of its way to serve as a propaganda arm to try to control what black people think. They put together one moist media fest headed by Tremaine Lee. So here we go with the Root and the Griot LGBT publication failures. I mean, they trotted them all out. They're leaving no coon behind. They're leaving no coon behind. NBC went out of their way. Now, what I want to do for you here, this was supposed to be an Obama town hall about policing and racism, and keep those words in mind. Policing and racism. Okay, this is an Obama town hall on policing and racism, right? Well, let's hear what the host of this thing, Brittany Cunningham, let's hear what she had to say. I want you to hear what she had to say here because it brings it into stark relief when you hear what she says, and it's like, oh, well, that explains it. Now, doesn't it? Now, when she first started speaking, I want you to hear what she said the issues are about policing and racism. This is what she had to say.
Change. We have so many brilliant voices that have been gathered, and as we listen to these guests, we'll all be able to better understand how we got to this moment and how we seized our own power to get through it. Before we get started, like Michael, I want to make sure to lift up the names of the people who brought us here, because it wasn't just the former president, though we're deeply grateful. It was George Floyd, a father in Minneapolis. It was Breonna Taylor, a life-saving EMT on the front lines in Louisville. It was Sean Reed, a friend and a brother in Indianapolis. It was Tony McDade, a black trans man who loved life in Tallahassee, Florida. And though it wasn't from an officer's bullet, we are having this conversation, of course, in the shadow of Ahmaud Arbery, a son from Georgia, and Nina Pop and Ayanna Dior, two black trans women who were killed by this hatred that comes against intersectionally marginalized people in this country every single day.
Well, no wonder a mega powerhouse like Comcast that has a lot to lose if black people actually reach equity. No wonder a mega media powerhouse like Comcast marches this political puppet out there, this phony activist.
One, they come off with them foolishness. Two,
Policing and
all of them.
racism. So for you to come here and do something this heinous, you have exhausted your final benefit of the doubt. You exhausted that when we drafted you, when we signed you. You exhausted it then. You exhausted it then. So don't come. Drew Brees has been apologizing and every damn thing else. Let me say this right now in no uncertain terms. Apology rejected. I don't want to hear a damn thing you have to say. I only want to make an example of you now. That's all I want to do. I am here to make an example out of you so that the next one who even thinks to do something like this will be able to say to them in a very low, ominous tone, remember Drew Brees? You sure you want to say something like that? Remember Drew? Oh no, Drew Brees needs to be the most famous quarterback in the league right now. Drew Brees is the face of passive white supremacy. We need to knock him down, and any Negro who tries to jump up, current player or retired, and sit up here, no, we're not going to put a Super Bowl ahead of survival. No, we're not. We are not going to championship. We are not putting a Super Bowl ahead of our survival. Not gonna happen. So this idea that you're gonna sit up here and make us desperate, this idea, people, let me tell you something right now. Right now, revolution is in the air. Revolution is in the air. And if I only have one lesson to teach young black people right now, it is to hell with forgiveness. We are all sold out of forgiveness, and we are not expecting any new shipments now or in the future. We have forgiven the last atrocity. We have excused the last insult, and we have overlooked the last attack on us that we're going to overlook. From here on in, everybody's going to get the business. From here on in. So Drew Brees, Shannon Sharp isn't going to be able to save you. And he's been trying to talk like us right now, but we all know that ain't going to last. That's not going to last. Shannon Sharp and Stephen A. Smith, all the house niggas, and I said it, they've trotted out all their sports house niggas. And Jason Whitlock is out the door now. They've trotted out all their house niggas. All their bought and paid for cable sports goons are hopping up now, and all of a sudden they trying to talk all pro-black. Everybody's got sharp words for Drew Brees right now, but we know we can't rely on you. You've already exposed your... No, let me be very, very clear with the white media and the white politicians and the white establishment. We're not out here just blowing off steam. So, because what you're hoping is you can run out the clock and we're just blowing off steam, and if you can just hold out long enough, there doesn't have to be any real change. You're thinking that, and you're thinking wrong. You're thinking that, and you're thinking wrong. Some jackass in the chat room here is sitting up here trying to cape for Shannon. I know some of y'all wearing your thongs. You seen Shannon without his shirt on, so you kind of you putting your thong on for Shannon. I understand that. Some of you guys want to put the thong on for Shannon. Shannon Sharp remember, I've already done the video about Shannon Sharp for the uninformed idiots out there. Shannon Sharp was talking about when that white quarterback hit the black ball player, and the black ball player went off on him, yanked his helmet off, hit the boy over the damn head. Was his name Greasy? Was his name Brian Greasy? Was that his name? And Shannon Sharp was talking about, because when our community likes to talk about how the police use excessive force, you can't use excessive force, because if it's wrong for the police to do it to us, that's what Shannon Sharp said. While you're sitting up here waxing your G-string, hoping that Shannon Sharp is going to retweet you, dude. I just want you to understand, you late to the damn party. I know some of y'all sit up here and get yourselves, oiled up with baby oil, and Shannon comes on, and boy, you just start going to town. No, it ain't happening. What's his name? Myles Garrett? Okay, you all know I'm not a football person, but you knew the incident. Myles Garrett. Yeah, that was Shannon Sharp then. That was Shannon Sharp then. Shannon Sharp compared the white boy getting hit in the head for a fight that he started to saying that black folk, if we get upset when the police use excessive force on us, that was excessive force. That was excessive force there. way it is. No, we're not forgiving anybody. We're not forgiving anyone. We are all out of forgiveness. To my young black people out there, to hell with forgiveness. Forgiveness is a lie. Forgiveness is a lie handed out to you by your oppressors. Forgiveness is a deceit that is foisted upon you by people looking to see if you're gullible enough to fall for it. I'm telling you all right now, you have overdone it with the damn forgiveness. The civil rights generation put all of us are in mortal danger today because the civil rights generation was running around talking about forgive, forgive, when they should have been laying white supremacists down. And they left all of us in mortal danger because of it. All of us are in mortal peril because of it. All of us. I'm not going to sit here and tell you all that you need to start forgiving people. To hell with that. No more forgiveness. Drew Brees, you like Clint Eastwood, you are unforgiven. Not now, not ever. For the survival of our people, we recognize you for the serpent that you are. You're not going to sit up here and walk it backwards because your sponsors gave you a phone call and said, Drew, this ain't the time to be saying that. You better go clean this up. Ain't no cleaning this up. When people show you who they are, believe them. Drew Brees has shown us who he is. He is unforgiven. Him and anybody else who talks like him. All of you. A-L-L. Every single one of you bastards is unforgiven. Let me be very clear about that. You are completely unforgiven. You will not be walking it back. Not now. Not ever. Not now. Not ever. We have seen you. We have weighed your heart. We have found it lacking, and we cast you out. We don't need a Drew Brees. Drew Brees needed us. I'm sure there are plenty of white supremacist team owners who will be glad to have an aged-out quarterback at the end of his career, and I suggest that the city of New Orleans make it very clear. I suggest that the offensive line, next time that the offensive line needs to protect him, I suggest every down, y'all take the down off. Take the down off. Let Drew Brees' grandfathers come and block the linemen for him. Let Drew Brees' grandfathers prevent the defensive line from getting a hold of his ass. Let's do that. I think now is the perfect time to rebuild the team over his flattened ass. Right now, I would trade Drew Brees for Gary Coleman. If I owned the Saints and I was able to sign Gary Coleman tonight, I would trade Drew Brees for Gary Coleman. Yeah, I would. What you talking about, Willis? You damn right. Y'all can have his ass. You can have his ass. Yes, I I know where Gary Coleman is, and I would still prefer him in his current state over Drew Brees. Yes, I would. Yes, I would. It's not going to be a very lively game, but it'll be one that we can actually respect. Might be one of the most uneventful games in NFL history, but it'll be one that I can live with. Watching Drew Brees go out there wearing the words New Orleans is an insult. To a native Louisianian, it's an insult. It's an atrocity that this blatant, overt, unreformed Confederate white supremacist would dare to wear that city's name. I'd sooner see Brian Birdman Williams take the first snap than Drew Brees. I also want to teach you something about resilience. I want to teach you something about how you lead. I want to teach you something about what it is that really makes change in this world. That's why I'm saved this for last. This is what really makes change. This is how you really change things. For those of you who had not seen this before, this is how you really make it happen. You don't make it happen by forgiving people for doing the wrong thing. You don't make it happen by trying to make other people comfortable. You make change happen by making other people uncomfortable. And the last 2 weeks, John Boyega has done more to redeem himself. He has done more to distinguish himself than anybody I can name. This man did exactly what all of you scared niggas around the world, you cowardly niggas talking about what Barack couldn't do and these rappers can't do. Yes, they can do it. You all are going to have to understand, they are not controlled, they are collaborators. They're not controlled. They chose Doja Cat because she's a collaborator. And they bought her off, they understood, they got her behind closed doors, and she was already giving them the talk. Rihanna, same thing. Jay-Z, same thing. And unfortunately, it looks like Killer Mike, same thing. Yeah, I said it. John Boyega, this was a man who won the world because he was willing to put it all on the line. And he said, y'all got me effed. That Star Wars film got y'all effed up. Go get one of your Hollywood coons to toe that line. I won't be doing it. When he said that, understand something, he was burning his ships. He was saying, to hell with Hollywood. I was black born, black bred, and when I die, I'm going to be black dead. And then give it all up here. John Boyega had a Robinson moment. When he was sitting here and taking a look at Paul Robeson moment. When you a Muhammad Ali moment. In the grand tradition of black men throughout history, who have had to, they were the best in the world at what they did. They were on top of the world. They were offering him all kinds of things. He had a choice between prestige and his people, and he chose his people, and he was willing to give it all up. And John Boyega was willing to give it all up. He was willing to walk away. He was willing to be blacklisted. He was willing to never have anybody work with him again. He was willing to do that. And take a look at what happened as a result. Yeah, Jordan Peele and some other white directors came to his defense, but Star Wars itself, Lucasfilm itself, said we stand with John Boyega. because he was uncompromising. Which is what I've taught you all from day one. They're not really buck-breaking niggas out here. These niggas came pre-buck-broken. And then their handlers tell them, now you better keep that on the low. Don't let nobody know that's what you really think. Don't really talk about that. Yes, boss. Yes, boss. And then when push comes to shove and you look for them to stand up for black folk, then they show you, oh, no, man, I don't care about you niggas. It's all about me. They didn't get buck-broken by the system. They were buck-broken before they ever got the system. They were buck-broken to get into the system. And John Boyega gave black people an incredibly powerful lesson. I want you to understand that. John Boyega gave black people an incredibly powerful lesson that I want all of you to learn. John Boyega was able to turn the tide and get everyone on his side because he did something that all of your LGBT, intersectionalist, minority coalition, black and brown coalition, dumb niggas don't understand. You do not get people to do your bidding by pretending you mean something other than what you mean. You get people to do your bidding by saying exactly what it is that you want without compromise. Remember, the old civil rights coons, the black media Sambos, and the rest of the sellouts were telling all of us that we couldn't get reparations because, well, they won't want to hear it. So we better instead do what Barack Obama said. Well, you can't get reparations. Let's talk about community basketball and community block grants and programs for minorities and increased funding for public housing and maybe some more increased funding for college for minorities. And that's why Barack Obama's a traitor, because I said that to y'all from day one. So, brothers and sisters, we've made more progress in the last 2 weeks by saying exactly what the issue is. The issue is that we are black and the system is white supremacist. And that we wish to destroy and dismantle this overt system of white supremacy so that black people can live and thrive as we are supposed to. And we have identified this as an issue for black people. And John Boyega stood up and let folks know, I'm not on this minority thing. It's about black folk. And a bunch of coons in Hollywood got real scared. That's why you're not hearing a bunch of them say nothing. Shout out Dave Chappelle. No, don't bring him. I'm talking about he did a video 5 years ago. Folks been trying to defend him because one of the white writers of the Chappelle show has been out there speaking up for black folk against white privilege, and Dave Chappelle himself is silent. I guess his Asian wife ain't letting him say that. Oh, well, it is what it is. Oh, well, it is what it is. Brothers and sisters, John Boyega was able to win the world because he said exactly what he meant. He didn't try to twist it. He didn't try to water it down to make other people comfortable. He said, this is reality, and you will become comfortable with it. And if you want to fire me, you can have your little janky-ass job back. If you want to fire me, you can have your little raggedy-ass, janky-ass job back. Charlemagne has been a disgrace and a laughing stock for a while now. Because in 2016, he did Hillary Clinton's bidding to keep them white corporate sponsors happy. But since he decided he wanted to go off on his own, now he's trying to prop up support from the grassroots, which means that he knew the whole time what he should have been talking like. Charlemagne knew it the whole time. If a person only does the right thing when they don't have anything else to depend on, that person's not dependable. But in any case, Charlemagne, when he started talking for black folk, remember what I said? If I had been there in front of Hillary Clinton, I would have said, y'all can have this little funky ass job at the Breakfast Club But she's going to answer today for her role in 3 strikes. You're going to answer this today. Y'all can have this little funky ass job. But we're going to deal with this today. And John Boyega has shown the example of what happens when you are uncompromising. Brothers and sisters, we made such little progress because the civil rights generation refused to say exactly what it is we wanted, because they got what they wanted. Let's just be honest about it. They got interracial sexual access and they got token job positions. And that was all they wanted. And the quintessential difference between my generation, your generation, and the civil rights generation is that they were willing to settle for crumbs and we aren't. That's the whole difference in a nutshell. They are willing to settle for the crumbs, and we're not willing to settle for damn crumbs anymore. You're not going to be able to flick some crumbs off the table and then we get up and walk away. Oh, no. Let me say this in no uncertain terms to the white supremacist establishment. This is it. Oh, you're scared to death and trembling in your boots right now because you understand this is it. This is it. The era of flicking crumbs off the table is over. There will be no more crumbs that you will be able to flick at us. None. None. And if you want your little old funky ass job, you can have it. You can take this damn thing. You're not going to be able to compromise us and buy us off with a little old bank account. Yeah, there's a lot of niggas out there who are bought and sold very easily, but you understand, all you bought and sold niggas, they real quiet right now. Shout out Jay-Z. It's a bunch of them real quiet. I don't want to hear nobody talking about donating money to George Floyd's family. They've already got millions in the pipeline right now. I said that. I said it. George Floyd's kids got millions of dollars in the pipeline, and they haven't even sued the city yet. That GoFundMe has collected like, what, $13 million, I believe. It's a record for GoFundMe. $13 million, of which GoFundMe is going to get a percentage. So a lot of folk are making a lot of money off of this, but that's not change. George Floyd's people are good. Now, what about the next George Floyd and what we're going to do to stop that? His people are good. What are we going to do for the rest of us? That's the question I got now. What do we do for the rest of us? Where people are pretending they don't understand that legislation needs to be written. No, you're just hoping that we'll all get tired and go home. It's not going to happen that way. It's not going to happen that way. That's the one thing I want you to understand. A lot of people out there don't understand that we are in the middle of a crucial point in history. We are witnessing right now as white supremacy is on the ropes, and we are not going to make the mistake that the civil rights generation did. You're not going to be able to buy off the black media like you bought off Ebony and Jet and Black Enterprise in essence. You're not going to be able to throw the trick bag in there and get us to change the subject. We are not here to discuss LGBT. Don't give a damn about intersectionalism. Understand something. We are not here to discuss intersectionalism. We are here to discuss a one-way street. We're here to talk about the one-way street. It's not an intersection. It's not an intersection. What I'm going to do at this time is I'm going to open the telephone lines. The number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933. Your access code to the headquarters of the revolution. Playing no games whatsoever. The Black Channel is live. Now, I've got somebody on the line here that I wanted to speak to here. I want to make sure he's got him on the line here. Is this Brother Tafari?
Yes, sir.
Brother, I want to thank you for giving us a call here in tonight. I only need you for a few minutes, but I thought it was necessary for me to go ahead and do this. I could go ahead and tell everybody what happened here, but I think you could tell them a whole lot better than I could. So can you very briefly, I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot, but can you very briefly explain exactly what our interaction has been this week and why you contacted me and what the outcome was?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Last Friday night, my older brother, he went out to go protest in Seattle, Washington. He was separated from his group. He was accosted by about 5 or 6 police officers. They beat him up pretty bad. They arrested him for felony assault on an officer. A couple days later, I was referred to Jason Black Authority by a good friend. Someone sent me the link. So I posted, said this man is helping anybody arrested during the protest for that specific charge, assault on a police officer. He would be able to assist them with bail and legal fees. Contacted the email that was provided. Within a couple hours, I had gotten a response. We began corresponding about my brother's situation. I was in the Bay Area at the time, so when I got back up to Seattle, I was able to really be there for my brother. We went there. Jason Black was able to wire me within 2 hours of my brother's bail being posted. Jason Black was able to wire me my brother's bail. We were able to bail him out. Went the next day. Charges were dropped, of course, even though they had my brother in there for 5 days. From Friday to Tuesday, they had my brother incarcerated. No charges filed. And that's about it, yeah?
So they didn't drop the charges until after he bailed out.
Yes, sir.
Now, I want you all to understand, first of all, it was my honor to do that because your brother is a soldier. But the second thing I want you all to understand is that the only reason that they did that was because they realized you had backup. And that is something that I've worked with a lot of people now. The prosecutors are they used to be very quick to prosecute people. Now they're very quick to dismiss the charges if they see you got backup. As soon as they see that, oh, you got backup, and if my name, right now, 2 names that they're looking out for is me and Tariq Nasheed. If either one of our names come anywhere near what you all are doing, then all of a sudden nobody wants to talk anymore. Nobody wants to press charges anymore. All of a sudden, felony assault on a police officer is a charge that doesn't go to court anymore, which is amazing.
How?
That's amazing, isn't it? I mean, we watched the world spin on its ear. That's amazing. So understand something, folks. Now, if they were going to dismiss the charges, they could have dismissed the charges in the first 24 hours. But they didn't do that. They held his brother for 5 days. They held his brother for 5 days. It wasn't until I posted the bail that all of a sudden they let the charges go. All of a sudden. And we're noticing that in a lot of areas. We're noticing that in a lot of areas, and the real reason was they arrested your brother because they wanted to get fingerprints and every damn thing else. So, because when you get arrested, it doesn't matter even if your charges are dismissed. It doesn't even matter if your charges are expunged. Every arrest in the United States is put into the National Crime Computer. The Supreme Court has held that they can keep all of this information, including your DNA, because that isn't evidence. That's not property. That's records. That's what the Supreme Court has said. For those of you who are not familiar with the cases, the Supreme Court has said that they can hold on to all of that evidence, all of this information, including your DNA, because that's not DNA, it's records. Your fingerprints are records. The arrest is records. So it's not being held against you. They're just keeping records, and there's nothing illegal about keeping a record of the events. So I want you to be aware, that's the reason why they arrested your brother and so many other people. Not because he actually did anything wrong, but so that they could catalog and file all of the quote-unquote dissidents.
Throw it in the database, yeah.
Right. Now, here's the strategy that they haven't counted on. The bottom line is we are going to give you so many names. We're going to give you so many of us that basically you're going to have to indict the entire society. We're not going to give you a few of us. We are going to overwhelm you with names. Since you want names so much, what's going to happen the day that you wake up and everybody is Jason Black? But brother, let's be very clear. You know like I know, if they were going to dismiss his charges, they had 4 days. They had the first 2 days. One day you contacted me. They had the 2 days after that, they had the entire weekend. They could have gotten rid of these charges the whole damn time if they were actually going to do it. They just wanted to see if we were serious about what we say. Yes, we are. And understand, I was fully ready to fund your brother's legal defense also. That was a fight.
As you said.
Understand something, folks. I got to tell y'all in all honesty, as soon as I'm posting bail, or in some cases that's not enough, as soon as we get together a legal defense, I expect you to keep this energy, Mr. Hollywood. I expect you to keep this energy. Because I've been doing this for a decade. Y'all are Johnny-come-latelys. And by the way, the legal community has really stepped up. I mean, they got pro bono lawyers everywhere now. The legal community has really stepped up. And just like when the Scientologists